Does one who owns an alcohol brand balance mental health and alcohol? Like, what does that look like?
Ah, it's a slippery slope, I think.
Okay.
Always when you're mixing things that are used to numb the pain, it's weird. It's a weird balance that you have to find. And this is what I do to, in my spare time, to enjoy the moments, as opposed to like I'm using this to numb the pain.
Is that why you're so big on flavors?
No, not necessarily. As far as the gin part goes, like that's just something that I enjoy. So when I sit, like I said, I sit with my friends. That's kind of what we do. We sit at the kitchen table. We enjoy drinks and just talk shit.
A great kitchen table.
So
by the way.
thank you.
Yes, great kitchen
so
table.
Very much. It's more of like I use in that particular space. I use the alcohol to loosen the room, so we can have just regular conversations that we would have. Because as you know, when you put somebody somewhere and you put a mic in front of them, or you put a camera in front of them, or a light in front of them, like a part of you kind of tenses up a little bit, because like, okay, I'm in the hot seat. The drink is just there to like, yo, you can sip this, you can relax, and you can feel like, yo, we just kicking it. Like, we just in here just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Everything here is just to capture the moment, but I don't need you to create the moment. Like, I don't need you to be in here and say nothing crazy, but I also want you to feel like we just in here and it's just us.
Yeah.
So very much like, I've seen podcasts that have moments, and when I was doing the podcast, I never had to have this conversation, which I appreciate. Podcasts have moments where they are looking for this hot moment, or someone tries to create the moment.
Conflict.
Just to have it, though.
Yeah.
Like, I never wanted anyone to come in and think that you need to create a moment. Like, if it happens, it happens. Yeah. That's why we just want to have regular conversations. We're going to have some ha-has, cool, make for a great clip. But don't come in here thinking that I want you to create the clip. Yeah. I just want to kick it with you. We just want to have a conversation. That's why in the beginning I just wanted to talk to my friends, because they know I don't want you to come in here and get canceled for nothing. We just going to kick it. We going to talk.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with you before. I know your personality. Something's going to make the clip for us, just because that's who you are, that's who we are, because we just the homies having a conversation.
Yeah.
So the gin part is just like, yo, we just about to sit down. We might craft a cocktail. You might have some sips or whatever, just to we just calm the room. Everybody just feel like we at home. We just chilling. Yeah. Because that even though it's not a stage, when the mic is hot, you still get the fright a little bit. Yeah. So yeah.
Is there value in folks having media training before coming on to that type of show?
I think you don't necessarily have to have media training per se. I think everyone has, in the back of their head, they have a little bit of like, yo, this is what I can say, this is what I can't say. Oh, that's a little crazy. Maybe I could really you have that internal filter. So I don't think you necessarily need media training, but you do have to have a common sense of like, let me not go too far. But I think the too far usually happens when people are, again, trying to create a moment. Like, you probably wouldn't say this in our regular conversation. Yeah. You're trying too hard to create a moment. We're like, if you just sitting there, just having a conversation, it's gonna be all good. Yeah. I think media training is more for like interviews, because in interviews you could say the wrong thing that really wasn't that crazy. Yeah. It was just because we're working on this thing or we're working with these people, you can't say that. It's more the small details of a conversation, as opposed to we're a free-form conversation. There's nothing that you can say here that would get you in trouble here that wouldn't get you in trouble if the cameras weren't on and the mics weren't hot. Yeah. As opposed to like, if we were a platform where we're interviewing people, and then like we were talking about earlier, like, oh, I don't want any whiskey. Like, oh, because I'm a brand, you can't have whiskey. Oh, we're not going to talk about whiskey. It's the little things in those type of conversations where when freeform conversation, we all good. Okay. If you wild, you was wild, regardless of the situation. Like, this isn't a brand thing. He was just waiting to go crazy. He was just waiting to say something wild. Yeah. But yeah.
All right, so I want to touch back one other thing, because I found it fascinating. I never asked about the house, people inquiring about therapy or anything else. So since that interview back in, we did the interview, was that 2021 or 2020 that we did the interview?
2021.
Okay, in 2021 when we did that interview, did anybody else ever inquire about either a wellness or getting therapy since we had that sit down, or like seeking out different resources?
People in the house, no.
Mm-hmm.
People did after the episode.
Okay.
So a lot of it was, who is that? What do they do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, like, I could tell them about the events and things, but that's when it kind of slowed down. Mm-hmm. But also was like, oh yeah, because also it's people that, most of the listeners are people that know me already.
Yeah.
And we had been in those spots and we had done those things. It was like, oh, I once told you about this thing that was going on over here. Mm-hmm. That's what that was. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah. So
there's conversations like that, and the story that Ann told, a couple people came back and was like, oh, that's how I feel. I feel like I can't find my person. And because also we've had those conversations in real life.
Yeah.
Like one of my really good friends was talking about when she was looking for a therapist. It didn't necessarily go so far left with her, but it was very much like, I was trying to find people. I found a couple, but we didn't connect.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that they necessarily did anything wrong. It just was like, but I didn't feel comfortable in the space.
Getting therapy is terrifying.
I definitely found someone, but I don't think that they were my person.
I tell folks it's terrifying. Like, as someone who like tells folks to get therapy, I reach out to therapists like every 3 months or so just to see what's the community giving. So like, what is that process for the person who I'm telling, hey, go get therapy? What is that process going to look like for them through these different platforms like BetterHelp or any of these other apps, or reaching out to a hospital, or going through Medicaid and Medicare? What does that therapy experience look like? Because like, getting therapy and finally getting to the therapist, you might have to go through loops. Do you have insurance? How much is this going to cost? Can I budget this? So for my platform, in terms of Get Home Safe and what we've created, I give you guys advice not to not get therapy, but just so you can start working on yourselves now, or have an idea of what you may need to work on, or does this relate to you? And internally, you guys get to sit down at home and look into yourself and be like, damn, that nigga Juice got me. You feel what I'm saying? Gotcha. Like, oh, he got me. Right? And then, like, you got to pick up the phone and make the call. So, for example, on the website on Get Home Safe, I have free therapy resources for folks. And if you click on it, those are low budget therapy resources if anybody wanted to go find a therapist or have a more affordable form of therapy for them. And it's like $15, $20 tops. So all you got to worry about is the Uber if you don't drive, or getting there and seeing, hey, is this a good fit for me?
Got it.
Is it white people? Is it black people? Is it Asian people? Maybe some Spanish. Oh, goddamn. Maybe some Spanish. You feel what I'm saying? And then it's like, I just want folks to either find the right fit, and if not find the right fit, at least have the resources. Because as you and I know, being black, we start with, do we even have the resources before anything else?
For sure.
And like, even with us now being a part of this generation that we're coming across money, as quick as we get the money is as quick as it goes.
Cool, that check goes crazy.
Yeah. And
it's like, it comes in, you're like,
we just talking about the taxes. The taxes. Before the bills and everything else.
Yeah.
So platform wise, I just want to figure out, how do I streamline this experience of therapy for folks? And how do I get you guys in front of those people?
Yeah.
So like, doing campaigns, photo shoots, content creation, having these interviews. I hope the right person comes across your interview and says, you know what? I was once Cortez. Let me reach out to him to see what he did. And then maybe reach out to Juice or reach out to someone else.
Gotcha.
Because there's value in your existence. To me, there's value in your existence before any of this other shit. So I'm just like, oh no, this is dope. You made that podcast. I was like, nah, bring that man on. Have him come talk. Let them know what he did. And then like, I think you have great habits, and I've seen you grow.
Oh, me?
Yeah, no, I've seen you grow.
Come on, gang.
No, I'm dead ass. I've seen you grow. So like, I'm proud of what you decided to do with your platform. Because I tell people, just because you built something doesn't mean you need to be honest. You just need to have built the thing.
Nah, for sure.
So when it comes to the Gin Papi podcast, what value do you bring to the community?